Hello! This lesson I'm going to be talking to you about how for loops can be used to create two-dimensional and three-dimensional objects. I will do two examples here to illustrate this idea. In the first, I will create a two-dimensional set of steps by incrementing the size and position of rectangles using the index values of a for loop. And in the second, I will create a three-dimensional pyramid using the index values of a for loop to increment the size and heights of a set of four-sided prisms that we'll make with the cylinder command. I'll start by making the two-dimensional set of steps. First off, I'll make an empty list named steps, which will contain the individual rectangles used for the steps. Then I will display it with the show command. Now, between the point where I make the list and display it, I have to fill it with actual steps. So in between these lines, I will make a for loop with a range of 12. Now let's take a second to visualize what we will be making. The set of steps that I am imagining increments up 1 unit every step, and it will go up towards the right side of the viewport. Each of our rectangles will have a constant length on the x-axis of 1, but with each repetition of the loop, they will get 1 unit wider on the y-axis and move 1 unit to the right on the x-axis. This will create a set of steps going up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1 for 12 units. Now let's implement this code to create the set of steps. In the body of the loop, I will create a rectangle named single step. And I will give it a constant x-axis length of 1 and a y-axis width of I plus 1. The second parameter means that the first one that we make will be 1 unit wide on the y-axis, and each rectangle that we make after will be 1 unit wider. Now I'm going to move our rectangle. Each rectangle will be 1 unit further to the right than the last one, and 0 units up the y-axis. So I'll just type in move single step I units on the x-axis and 0 units on the y-axis. I'll then color single step sand colored using the color command and append it to our list named steps using the append command. Now our code should have made 12 rectangles, each being 1 single unit long on the x-axis and a single unit wider on the y-axis than each previous one before it. Each of these rectangles should have been moved 1 unit to the right and colored sand. Then the rectangles should have been appended to the list called steps, and the list should have displayed after the loop was finished. Let's run the program to see our set of steps. I'll turn the grid on. So this is our set of steps. Each one of these 12 columns here represents a different individual single-step rectangle, which was made in our for loop and appended to the list steps. Now I'm going to show you how you can use a for loop and its index value to create a three-dimensional pyramid. First things first, let's erase all the code that we have from this example. Now let's make an empty list called pyramid using a pair of empty square brackets and put pyramid into the show command a few lines below. Now let me describe this grand pyramid to you. It is going to be a four-sided pyramid and it is going to be 50 units tall. We're going to make it out of four-sided prisms using the cylinder command. Each time that the loop will repeat, the prisms will get taller along the z-axis and their side lengths will decrease. There will be 50 of these prisms total. So let's make a for loop with a range of 50. Now we're going to create the prisms which will make up the pyramid using the cylinder command. In order to make four-sided prisms, we must use the optional third parameter of the cylinder command and put in a 4 to specify the number of sides. Remember that the first parameter is the radius of the cylinder. When we're making a four-sided prism instead of an actual cylinder with this command, this radius will be the distance from the center to the corner of the prism. This will get smaller each time the loop repeats. The second parameter then is the height of the prism on the z-axis. Our prisms will get taller with each repeat of the loop. So let's create a cylinder named step in the body of the loop. The first parameter will be 50 minus I, because the prisms will start with a base radius of 50 and then decrement 1 unit with every repetition. The second parameter will be I plus 1, so that the prisms start with a height of 1 on the z-axis and will increase with every repetition. Then the third parameter is, of course, 4, to create four-sided prisms. Then I will color our step sand colored, because it is a pyramid. And then the only other thing that we have to do in the body of our loop is append these steps to our list pyramid using the append command. Then we can run our program and see our pyramid. Wow, this one really looks like one of the Great Pyramids of Giza. Remember that when you're doing something like this with a for loop, to be careful how you use your index value to increment and decrement values. For example, if we had accidentally decremented this first parameter here of the cylinder command, then the cylinder command would have been told to have a negative radius, which is illogical, and our program wouldn't have run. I hope that you can see even more now the usefulness of for loops in the programming in your 3D modeling after this lesson. Remember from this lesson that by using the index value of your for loops, you can increment and decrement the values in your 2D and 3D figures in order to create step-like patterns. You should also be careful while doing this that you don't put in illogical values to your commands so that your programs will run. By now, you guys have an awesome set of tools for 3D modeling, so use your own creativity and see what kind of things you can make.